Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Josh.
Cap.
Star.
Christian.
And another Josh. Hello.
All right, that's it, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. We have a big group this week. So this week we have two other wonderful people joining us that are part of the costume community. Josh and Cap. They do so much for the costume community, so please give them a warm welcome. Shocking surprise, they're big fans of the Bad Batch, and we're here to break down episodes 7 and 8 of the Bad Batch, and then we're also going to talk about some of the new footage that came out for Jedi Survivor. Without further ado, let's dive into the episodes. Tolkien, take it away.
All right, so 1 second. Just opening our episode.
Don't sound too excited.
So what did you guys think of the first episode? Any of your first thoughts of what you would rate that first episode so far?
Awesome.
10.
10.
So you're liking
10.
this mid-season finale, or are you
9?
liking
Yes.
it?
10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yep.
We're back into the politics space of Star Wars. Which
Yes.
has
But
been
we're
booming in the past.
also back into the clone space of Star Wars. So
This is
It's
true.
specifically own politics.
yes.
So
I got huge classic Clone Wars vibes from the from episode 7. I loved how we went back into the actual into the Senate building. We saw some senators that we haven't seen in a long time. How did we feel about going back into that vibe that we first had when the Clone Wars TV show actually began? Because it threw me off, because I was like, wow, I feel like we're all the way back in 2008, 2009. It was my feeling about it.
Yeah, it's good to see very old characters, and
Yeah,
also
we
ones
saw
that we've seen
some.
from
I
the
don't
90s.
know if we've seen her in the Clone Wars before, but the one senator from Rogue One.
Yeah, this would be our
out
first.
there on her pod with
Mhm.
Bale and Senator Chuchi.
Mhm.
It was cool to kind of bring that tie-in. I wonder where Mon Mothma's at.
Me too.
I feel like she would be all up in this business if it's like knowing Mon Mothma, but she's not there.
She's maybe dealing with her marriage.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our first episode is going to be known as the Clone Conspiracy. We open at a barn, Coruscant. We have two clones talking with each other, and they basically are like, "Hey, we're gonna go and one of them is like, I'm gonna give Rampart an ultimatum. So either come clean or we're gonna do it for you." And of course, that was the wrong thing to do. I was like, "Oh, you're so dead. You're not even getting a second with this guy." And then we cut to a little bit of a scene where they're talking, and the one who's basically said like, "Hey, we're gonna get him," gets gunned down, just like reminded me of episode 2 in the way that opened as well with the Coruscant bar. So I thought that was pretty interesting. What do you guys think of that one?
It's good. I think I thought of 5s the whole time. I was just went right to 5s, which makes sense, when we circle back around to the way these two episodes conclude. But yeah, I was just thinking 5s.
yeah.
There at first I thought I heard them say the clone name Slick and not Slip.
Me too.
And then I was
Heard
just
it.
like, wait, what?
I'm ready to fight. At
Yeah.
this point.
So I at first I was like, okay, so because they're the Empire now, did they just like have him come out of jail and they just threw him back into the Empire or what? But then I was like, oh, Slip.
I don't mean to jump ahead, but we do get some more of that clone versus clone type stuff in this with the assassin guy.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting thing to throw in. Like at first you don't know who he is. Like, is this Crosshair? Is this
Oh, I thought I knew who he was. I thought it was Sev.
I was hoping.
yeah.
Sniper Reticle, I saw new helmet that wasn't Crosshair. I was like, that's 100%.
Yeah,
That's
that
right.
would have been something.
We were hoping.
Wrongly, but well, maybe.
Yeah.
Continuing on with the episode, we have a senator meeting. So, basically, they're explaining how Camino was destroyed. It was a tragedy. So obviously, no one knows the real truth on that one. And how Rampart's new proposal for military force throughout the galaxy. So, what did you think of the little debate here of them? Also, yes, the character from Rogue One showing up there was fun.
I mean, I was surprised that no one immediately questioned Rampart because he just seems like a seedy dude, but also the same reasons that Bale brings up later, like Camino's built to withstand storms, and everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, it got blown over in some waves."
Oh, what a shame. Apparently they can't swim. Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know. It plays into the whole. I don't want to say corruption, but the way that it seems like all of the senders sort of got out of touch by the end of the Clone Wars. And then we see a little bit of that in the content that we've got in that era between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope as well. But there's like this disconnect there where they're kind of just off in their own world, like, oh yeah, whatever, stuff's happening in the galaxy, but we're doing great. And very few senators seem to actually have a grasp on things.
Well, I mean, it's not even that by the end of the Clone Wars, because I think it's in Clone Wars where Orn Frita, for the Twi'leks, he's accused by Cham Syndulla of like, and when was the last time you came back to visit Ryloth? Like, we haven't seen you in years.
Yeah.
I did not like that guy. I really did not like Orn Frita. No, not at all.
Something that's I've always wondered is how it's easier to control like volunteers than it is to control clones. And I'm wondering if we're ever gonna get like a full explanation to that. I don't know if it's literally just money and security of that being the overall reason of why like no one really is like, I may be a bad guy. Like in comparison to what is happening right now with clones, I'm kind of like, you rarely ever saw that with people who actually volunteered. So I'm kind of like,
right. I think part of it's that, when you get volunteers, like they want to be a part of it and they believe in that cause. And the reason that Palpatine and Rampart and everyone else wants to phase out the clones or decommission them, which is what they kept saying, which I was like, no, that just sounds inhumane and terrible. But the reason they want to phase them out is because they know that the clones didn't sign up for what they're doing. Not that they signed up for things to begin with, but like they didn't sign up for this big change, I guess.
I think also, I think it also has to do with the fact like the clones just like did a coup. They just killed all of their Jedi commanders. Like on the flip of a dime, if somebody has that button, they can just be like, hey, kill everyone. And that's a lot of power to give your army. So I can see where, hey, we used them as kind of this one shot, let's take out the Jedi. You kind of don't, that's a huge security risk. Like maybe you kind of want them out of there. You can control people with money, but that's kind of a scary thing to have. If you could just pay people.
I mean, I just think it's because the Emperor was on he was on a budget cut, so he's like, all right, okay, clones, no more, Death Star all the way. Yeah. But yeah, no, I also thought it was great that the clones were also very vocal. And they were like, yeah, this is what we were born to do. And then there were
to meet them at the bar.
Yeah,
it was a whole conversation about like, hey, look, we're gonna get you a pension, and don't worry about it, you can retire. And they're like, dude, I was literally made to fight. Like, what's the point? I can go fight all those like little insurgencies that you guys keep having pop up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Christian.
It's the retirement was never a factor in this equation for us. We expected to do this until we died, or just to die.
That whole conversation was super interesting to me because it was really like at first there was kind of a contrast between the beginning of that conversation and the end of the conversation. Like they start out, and especially that one guy in the end of the bar was talking about all he wants to do is fight. I'll go take out those insurgents, like whatever. And then the other clones, like you can almost see a conversation. I forget what Chuchi says, but she says something, and then like a switch almost flips, and they have this realization, and it goes. It's almost a parallel to like how clones are portrayed in the saga as a whole. Like they start out just kind of this faceless, bred to fight army or whatever, and then by the end of that conversation, just like by the end of the Clone Wars, you see them as like legit people that like have feelings and obviously need rights and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's where I loved this whole piece, that you got the Senate and then you got the discussion at the Clone Bar, because it really ties in a bunch of stuff from Clone Wars, the show that like really wasn't addressed in the show itself, where you're going, wow, we came to love all these characters, like they're people, they do deserve being treated like humans. And then I love that they've pulled this back in with Bad Batch, because it seems like taking it to the next logical step. And they really deserved this kind of discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same kind of thing that they touched on a ton in the Republic Commando books.
Yes.
And so happy to see more of that. Even if we didn't actually get to see Sev.
The entire.
I'm still gonna hope. I've
Me too.
mentioned Sev every episode on here for like the last 4 weeks, so like I'm gonna keep talking about it.
Yep, me too.
I mean, you've got 8 episodes left, so
yeah, and I feel like we have a good chance at the end, because I think the last episode's called like Summit or something.
Yeah,
and we can only assume that's about Mount Tantus or Mount like whatever I forget what the name was, but that's where we saw the RCs at the beginning or at the end of season 1. So
yeah.
I would like an Avengers episode where it's just clones from like the past Clone Wars episodes, and they all show up, and then Captain Rex is up front, and then we haven't seen Cody for the rest of the season until the last episode, and then Commander Cody walks up and he's like, "On your right, let's do this." They all just charge the.
Oh, totally. Well, and like I've been saying this since season 1, but like my fan theory. Okay, Star, stop it. My fan theory is like, let's have a giant clone rebellion, right? Let's get all of the clones all together. I'm sure you've said this on the podcast before, but like, let's get them all together. Let's have giant battles. Like that'd be sweet. Have the clones fighting for something they care about.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
Having them fight for themselves for a change would be a complete difference from everything else we've got.
Yes, 100%.
I was also surprised that we didn't get Commander Cody at all. Like at all. That threw me off. Yeah.
This show, they're allergic.
Up their hands.
They're allergic to Crosshair. They're like,
it's been weird.
Crosshair is the truffle oil of this whole thing. You can't use too much, because otherwise just overpowers the rest of the season.
They also haven't had any real. Yeah, I was gonna say they've had no interaction with Crosshair this entire season so far, and we're 8 episodes in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of wild.
Yeah, I keep
remembering. Will be in the finale.
They're avoiding my snipers, but it's okay.
I keep remembering that veteran clone in Kenobi, when he's just out like begging for change on the streets, especially with Senator Chuchi and all the plans she's laying out. I'm like, that's great and all, but I've seen how, like, is this an outlier, or is this like the destination for all of them? And we're just seeing like all the actions trying to prevent it, but it's almost.
I mean, who knows? Maybe that clone was super successful and he was just having a bad day, and then he was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna, just hang out here."
He still did have his blue on.
Kenobi. Yeah, I know, but yeah. Oh man, yeah. No, it's crazy to see that that we already know the main outcome for the clones. Like, hopefully we don't see them, get executed or anything like that. But I think the main outcome for the clones will be that they're all getting fired. Like that's essentially what's going to happen, and they're going to have to find and do something for themselves. And we know that some clones were including Captain Rex. I think they did say they reached out to Captain Rex and Rebels saying, "Hey, if you want, you can work for the Empire." And then he was like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do that at all," which I don't blame him, because the Empire is the Empire. But yeah, so it was really interesting to see all of that play out in these 2 episodes, and with the Senate and everything. It was very, very intriguing and a lot of politics. Didn't think it was going to be that much politics, but I was like, all right, cool.
I think it's important that, as much as we all love the gun battles and swinging of lightsabers in Star Wars, the big thing is the Emperor gets his power by being a political genius, because he orchestrates this whole thing and just to get himself on top, and then manages to keep his political sway to stay in his Supreme Chancellor seat for 10 years past his end of term officially. And then still manages to swing being bumped up to Emperor and having everyone stand up and applaud it at the end of Revenge of the Sith. The man knows what he's doing. It's all through politics.
Yeah.
Yep. That's definitely on full display, especially at the end of the 2nd episode today.
Yeah.
You're just like,
which we'll get to.
You slimy piece of
Anthopoodoo.
There you go.
It's pretty interesting to me that the main bulk of this episode is Chuchi's basic investigation and hearing all sides of what really happened on Camino. And I do find it interesting that we do end up having it as Chuchi, as I feel like she's probably the senator character that we see the most in all of Clone Wars, of a recurring character. So that's mainly the big bulk of this episode, is her trying to full on discover the conspiracy, basically. So what do you think about her being the main focus of this episode and truly trying to find what's going on with what happened on Camino?
I wish we saw her dad come back, because her dad is like George Lucas, so I would have been really happy. But
Not her dad. It's not her dad.
Oh wait, no.
No, that's the chairman.
Oh, yes.
And
I'm sorry, not her
related to
dad.
him.
Yes.
Her dad's
Yeah.
very South African, trust me.
I liked it. It made me miss Padme. I think
Yeah.
watching her
Yeah.
do a bunch of stuff, like obviously we can't have Padme, but like I was like, oh man, this feels like a good old Padme episode.
I think that was kind of the point they were trying to make, is that someone had to step into Padme's void, and we know that Rio was a friend of Padme to a decent extent.
Yeah.
It was very nostalgic.
Yeah.
Tragic. Sadness.
So I think one of the major points is us trying to figure out who this assassin really is. Because I don't know like how many people really thought it was Crosshair for a long time during this episode. Do you think it was?
No, not for a second.
Okay, because I was like,
as soon as we saw any bits of his look, I knew it wasn't Crosshair. Like at first, when you were just looking through the scope reticle, I was like, oh, is Crosshair out there just murking his brothers? That's really dark.
That's very dark, Dave.
But then we have another clone murking his brothers, so
So yeah, it's interesting to me that we're getting to this point where it's kind of like, are they going to keep some clones on to be like special operative type forces? Because I'm wondering if they feel like clones are that disposable where you can just be like, all right, you go do your thing. Like, because it's interesting to me. I like, as in, because he ends up at the end of the episode or murking himself. So I was like, I wonder how many of these they're gonna have floating out there through the galaxy.
I've already seen other people theorizing that this is like a proto Death Trooper type program, because they talked about wiping his ID number and he doesn't even take the full helmet off. Like, it almost looks like he's a cyborg or something, which that's like what Death Troopers are. So it like that makes sense, and it also makes me really sad.
The neck seal portion of that helmet was like Darth Vader.
Yeah,
because it sealed up right here.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
Cool costume.
if they're like hinting at what happened to Crosshair in episode 1 with this clone, because in episode 1 of season 1 they have them enhance the chip, which you don't really know what that means. And we also see like him have a whole like mood change and a bunch of weird stuff happen, and it makes me wonder if they're actually trying to hint at what they're going to reveal about Crosshair, that there's this proto Death Trooper program or something where they actually enhance the chips, they wipe the numbers, they do something that ends up altering them to be more likely to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was thrown off by that. I didn't think it was a clone at first. But then I started to see them actually move more, and I was like, okay, it's a clone, but who's it gonna be?
Mhm.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was a commando, because they
Yeah.
brought up commandos at the very end of season 1, and then they've I feel like they've dropped a few commando hints, even having like Gregor in there. So I'm like, maybe this is the new role of commandos. I don't know. Yeah.
I was also expecting to see at least some of the clone commandos, and we haven't seen any shots from the trailer yet where I think we saw Scorch in the trailer, and
Yep,
we haven't seen
yep.
Scorch at all.
Right.
And I'm still baffled that we haven't seen Cody
Mhm.
since then. So I'm really curious of where he is, or if he's working with Rex already, or he's on the run somewhere else. I would feel like he would reach out to Rex. I mean, like, it would just make sense to me.
Yeah.
I was talking about this earlier with Josh, actually, about like we've seen everything in was it both of the trailers, Josh?
So I checked both trailers. The trailer they released 2.5, 3 months ago, we've seen absolutely everything from.
Mhm.
The
Yes.
trailer that was released 8 months ago, along with Celebration, but wasn't the Celebration trailer. We've seen everything but a shot of Omega with another child that we don't know who it is.
Mhm.
Yep.
A shot at some sort of spaceport where it includes, I believe it was 9 all-white commando units, and then the shot with Scorch and commandos flanking both sides. And Scorch was in the other one, like sitting on top of a cruiser or something. But yeah, so we've seen almost all those shots except for those 3.
Mhm.
I do think we're going to be seeing a lot more commandos with the TKs, because the TK program wasn't actually public knowledge. I'm guessing that's where all the funds were diverted before they destroyed Camino. So Palpatine was planning to actually have that bill passed by training them with commandos months in advance. And then now we're just seeing he's like, oh yeah, we just happen to have these TKs out and about that we've been training for ages because you passed the bill.
Yeah. I think there was one other shot that I haven't seen yet, but there was a different shot of the Emperor from the trailer. There's the shot in the episode of where he rises out of it, but there's an other shot in the trailer of where we see him and Matsushita in a different setting. It's more darker in the room where they're at when they rise. So I think we're going to see the Emperor again.
Oh, that's right. There's also a shot of Lardies versus V-Wings in an aerial extraction. So it's a bunch of Lardies going up and V-Wings firing down. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a mass like clone exodus that we're going to see.
Back to what Cap was saying.
Yeah.
Yes,
I would
please.
love to see that.
I know. I'm so here for it.
For 5s.
Yes.
All of them.
I mean 5s in all of them. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, that could be like the Return of the King moment of where like Rex turns towards the camera and he's like for 5s, and then all of a sudden
for Frodo.
Oh man, it'd be funny. But yeah. Ugh.
I mean, basically, that's the main points of this episode was having the whole meeting and seeing Rexian was cool.
I loved his entrance.
Wait, hold on. You're just gonna glaze over Rex coming back?
Hang on now.
Yeah, that's not. We don't skip over that.
That's why I said it softly, so then you guys go nuts and go nuts for Rex. Go.
Yeah, that was epic. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna walk in and save the day.
well, not only that, to me, he walked up and it was just like he was just like, I have no idea what's going on. So
yeah,
I have no idea what's going on. Someone's shooting at this woman. I don't like that, so I'm gonna stun him.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just loved his entrance because he just thought he was just walking into like a normal situation. He's like, oh wait, hang on, here's a cool hero moment. I'll walk in, I'll take off my, robe because, that's a very normal thing in Star Wars where they took off the hood. So he walks in, it takes out the clone and takes off his hood and he's like, hey, what's up?
Also, notice how he gets the sniper with 3 stun blasts almost immediately, whereas both Pantoran guards just scrub every shot they have.
He's just that good.
He's just that good.
Yeah.
Can I ask for the 3 people that wear Rex? How do you feel about him not being in armor?
Dude, that was the first thing I noticed. I was
Yes.
like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it if it's an extraction and you're like there to like help a buddy. But then he goes in like later with the Bad Batch, which we'll talk about. No armor. Like there's shots going everywhere and he's just like, I'm fine.
And a
It's
single
like-
DC-17.
Yeah.
Like
And only one.
it makes sense in a way for him to like sneak in because his arm, especially now, him having painted up super dirty armor with a bunch of accessories, he really stands out. But I do agree, like when they were breaking into the Star Destroyer, like why not put on your battle gear? Like,
Or like a
I guess
chest
like
piece.
I'm fine with it. It
Maybe
makes
he didn't
sense,
come with
but I
it. He
miss
didn't
it because I
expect
love
that.
it.
Yeah.
Actually, Christian, you brought up a good point that sniper took 3 stun blasts going down. I could very much be wrong, but I think the only other clone units we've seen take multiple stun blasts before going down are Gregor and Scorch. Those are both commando units.
See, it's a commando.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. It's because I one of the big things I was looking at the entire episode was also just like looking at all the costumes because that's where my head immediately defaults to on my second watch through. Watch once for the plot and emotions. Watch a second time for details and costume stuff. One, I loved all the soft parts we saw in all the clones.
Yeah.
Those out of armor suits. Those look comfy. Those look shockingly comfy.
Well, don't get ahead of yourself.
no.
They're probably excessively hot.
Probably, but they're for space, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But then also because I think it's at the end of this episode we see the first shot of Rex's new jacket. And that's a cool looking jacket.
It looks cool.
I think it's pretty cool. and I
It's
want
double
one.
breasted, it's got the side collar, it's got pockets.
I want one.
Yeah, I like his incognito design. I mean, as soon as people would see that armor, though, they'd probably be like, "I know you." So I mean,
Wait a minute, aren't you dead?
Well, and I feel like that's part of the reason they probably made the stylistic decision to have him not have armor. Because, like, when he first shows up in, season 1, it's like you're wearing a cape, you have all your clone armor underneath. Like, who is that? It's Captain Rex. So, like,
are you the
I felt
only
like
blonde clone in the entire Grand Army of the Republic?
That is fair. I was like,
Yeah.
The thing that I didn't get is like, why not just disguise yourself as a clone?
dude, I know.
Yeah.
Knock
I
out.
honestly, I almost expected that for them to get out of the Star Destroyer after they got cornered.
Yeah,
But
like
like-
they.
they
That's
figured
next
it out.
episode. Next episode.
Yeah, sorry.
We're just excited, Christian.
I'm
Thank you,
aware,
Christian,
but
for-
with
Our boy is back.
with Colin being gone, I'm just gonna make sure everyone stays on the level.
He
I'm
just
not gonna
turns
leave
the word
I'm not
done.
gonna leave host Josh alone in this fight.
With our episode coming to a conclusion for this our first episode, is there any final thoughts that you guys all have on that first episode and how you feel? Yes, Star, go.
Yes.
Lay it
Last
down.
thing I'll say about Crosshair, because I'll keep bringing him up, but the other reason that I knew it wasn't Crosshair is that sniper, no offense, he sucked. He missed so many times. Like I'm just watching him like chase Chuchi around, and I'm just like, it's not Crosshair. He can't. hit me.
Well, it might have been the helmet. Like it's just like with the stormtroopers.
There you go. Never know.
Yeah. Turns out they got new designers for all the armor after the Republic fell, and they just suck.
And the designers just didn't have eyes, so they didn't.
Well, I think in Star Wars Rebels, I think Rex actually proved that theory because of Rex was wearing the helmet, he was missing, and then Kanan called him out, and then Rex takes off the helmet, throws it at a stormtrooper, and then he just
Great
starts
scene.
blasting like perfectly, and that really just proves like that you cannot see out of that thing.
I mean,
talking from experience,
yeah,
you really
I was just
can't
gonna
see.
say, Colin, both you and I can say with confidence the helmets are the issue.
Yes. Helmets are definitely the issue. You also cannot sit in the armor for the life of you. You can like lay flat, But like other than that, you
plank.
really can't do like anything.
Speak for yourself. I can sit in my commando.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
so
Well,
I can sit in Wrecker.
Yeah,
Okay.
Josh,
What?
that's because you're a clone.
Really?
clones,
Yeah.
Clones are better than
clones,
TKs.
clones. We're talking about TKs.
Yeah.
We can't feel our
Oh, okay.
thighs after
Oh,
we're done trooping.
I think
man.
that's a
like,
you guys trimming issue
Skill issue.
because Odd Viking in my garrison, he can sit in his TK, and so
Oh,
can
okay.
Artisher.
I used to be able to. And
You used to be able to.
yeah, and since I built that armor, I have gained probably 50 or 60 pounds.
That
So,
was
I was
Okay.
gonna say
All
something like
muscle.
that, but you used to be able to fit in it. Period.
Well, so I don't think the armor was ever for the TK armor. I don't think it was ever meant for people to sit down. I've seen people definitely lift,
Put it
the
on,
butt strap
stand,
up.
and then die.
no,
That's
they,
exactly what trooping is. No, I'm
I mean,
just kidding.
they didn't care about that at all in the OT. Liz Moore and Brian Muir, like, they just went off to Ralph McQuarrie sketches, and they needed something to stand in and look like a sci-fi trooper in the background. They weren't concerned about that for a low-budget throwaway sci-fi film that totally didn't last for more than a year.
Oh yeah,
They were so concerned about sitting. To this day, we're still having fights about it.
you have no idea.
So, any final thoughts on the episode, Colin?
I think my biggest thing was, like, which I've already talked about, was that Commander Cody had no involvement. I'm surprised we haven't seen Gregor or anything, but I honestly, like, I think we're waiting for that Avengers moment where, like, all the clones will end up like forming a rebellion at the end and storming the castle per se.
I'm just gonna pass away at that point.
Oh,
Like,
man.
that's it.
I just think, like, that is, like, I mean, that moment right there will just blow everyone away. I would love to see Wolf, Commander Cody, like, just all of them just team up and being like, we don't want your pension, we want war, and then they just just something on the lines of that. But yeah. Oh man.
It's interesting to me how that episode didn't have the Bad Batch in it and still was able to be a good episode and still focused on what is going around the Bad Batch. And it always scares me when we have an episode that doesn't include like the main title characters. So yeah, I'm interested. I mean, in comparison to what we had with Boba Fett, like, I'm like, hey, I was worried there for a second, but we're good.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the episode where just Max Rebo shows up and he just is just walking around.
Oh,
Saves the
really?
day through his music.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So continuing on, we have our second episode. And our second episode is Truth and Consequences. This like definitely did feel like a full-on two-parter. That's what I was really happy with. I was very scared that they kind of would have done that like anthology, like, oh, we have one like mission here and then one mission there. I'm glad that we continue our investigation. So we have the episode open on the Bad Batch, basically in their ship. We also get a fun little shot of Omega meditating. Thought that was funny. I was like,
that was interesting. Like, I know that I've mentioned it on here before. I really don't want Omega to be force sensitive. Like, I like her being a clone, and I like that being her story. And I think most of us here agree about that. And I don't know if they were doing that as just kind of like a fun thing for Omega. Like, she's experiencing new things, and she's really, like, that's her thing, is picking up new skills and learning. And if she's like, they're just showing her.
I don't know why they keep teasing it. It's like,
and like,
all right.
That's one thing that I think was actually really direct. That, like, if they are heading that direction, which again, I hope they don't, but if they are heading that direction, this I feel like is the first, like, really hitting the head on the nail direct teasing. Like in the episode, well, the last episode too, with Gunji, and she like says, I have a bad feeling about this place. Like, I don't think that's necessarily pointing to her actually being force sensitive. Like Echo
No.
says the same thing. He's like, yeah, I don't like it either. And that's just like a normal thing that people say. But if you
Han
read into
says
it,
that in the OT.
right.
K2SO says it.
Yeah. Like you can read into it and be like, oh, she's like feeling something. But I don't think that was it last episode. And because there hasn't been anything like that actually seems concrete up until now, I feel like this is her actually just being like, oh, Gunji did it. Let's see if I can do it.
Well,
Yeah.
and in that scene, I don't remember who it is. I think she says like, "Oh, this is way harder than what like when Gunji was doing it." And so they do kind of like make it a point to be like, "Okay, Omega can't do this the way that Gunji can." So they could be emphasizing that she's not force sensitive there, but
I think
who knows?
Because that's what
line-
because that's what they want you to think.
Sure.
Like
the full line was, I think it's Echo walks in and he asks her, "Are you meditating?" And she's like, "Yeah, Gunji showed me how to do it, but it's not doing anything for me, I think."
Yeah.
Well,
It's
not
like, well, yeah,
yet.
'cause
You're not a Jedi, okay,
Right.
buddy? You're one of me.
It was so heavy-handed. I mean, we got Chekhov's Echo when he was like, "It was where I was needed." After she was like, "Why did you join the bat?" She's like, "It was where I was needed." And then lo and behold, what happened at the end of the episode? Like, it was pretty heavy-handed stuff. There. At least I felt so.
Yeah, I enjoyed his whole like, hey, I definitely don't like being alone. All right.
I've been alone before. It sucks.
So continuing on with the episode, we get Rex basically telling the Bad Batch like, "Hey, I'm gonna need your help," and they're like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And then he's like, "On Coruscant," they're like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So
I will say all of them were like, oh, except Echo was like, hell yeah, we'll be right there. And I mean, that obviously leads into the conclusion of this episode, but it was just kind of interesting that I noticed in that moment.
yeah, I mean, I like how they're always put at risk wherever they go, and it's interesting to me that they want to like Coruscant is just such a hub right now of Empire control. So I'm like, interesting
This
that
is
they're going there.
arguably the most risky place that they could go, and I think it says something that they do go to the riskiest place possible for their clone brothers.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, sure, because at the end of the day, Rex came and saved all of them. He took all their chips out. They owe him at least one, if not multiple.
Yeah.
We saw a similar situation with Echo pushing the batch to save a clone with Gregor. I mean, when they first went to Daro, they're like, let's go back to the Marauder. Let's tell Rex we went here, but there's too much. And Echo was one that convinced him we still got to go and we still have to save him, and brought up Skako Minor. The same thing. It's a very mirrored situation there.
Yeah.
I mean, continuing on with the episode, they end up meeting. They meet Chuchi, and they end up seeing how the clone being told like, "Hey, the clone's whole number is completely wiped." So, and Tech's like, "I've never seen that one before. That's interesting." So I was like,
it's bad.
That's how you know it's bad if he doesn't know what's up. So what did you guys think of like more information on this mysterious clone?
It tells me there's more.
Yeah. I wonder if they wiped the scanner thing that's right here that like shows all their data info. If they either wiped the numbers like connection in their data banks, or if they like took whatever the hell that was that actually gave that info.
Yeah, get the in Galaxy error 404 clone not found.
Right.
I've got a feeling that someone's working on the armor too. Like right now, like just someone out there is just making sketches. Hunter, I'm looking at you. So.
Nah.
I already got 2 texts.
Yeah, no, that one's not for me. Maybe Rex's new jacket though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for bounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 10 droids and the 500 pieces of armor that you're working on right now is just
it's never enough, Colin. You know this by now. It's never
only
enough.
10.
That was more.
So continuing on with the episode, they basically go to Senate rooms. We have Chuchi and Omega's little chat together, and she's always being as curious as she possibly is. I did like when Rampart walks by and she's like,
Oh,
"You surprised
yeah.
to see me?" Hmm?
He doesn't react.
No, at
And
all.
like, I don't know if he actually noticed. Like he didn't. Like I feel like they would have shown some moment of awkward,
Yeah.
prolonged eye contact or something if
Yeah.
Rampart noticed.
It was kind of odd. I mean, honestly, because like I feel like they were in the same scenes, I think, in the first season. And it's like you'd think you would recognize her. I mean, and she looks so fat. You know,
Right.
I
Well, and
wondered, yeah.
She's obviously a person of interest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I guarantee you it was the poncho that she was wearing completely
Just threw him
off.
totally off. Like,
Poncho and
no
lack
clone
of the
would wear
headpiece.
that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, he doesn't know. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine
It's,
with
it's
me.
the Clark Kent effect, guys. You don't
Yeah.
recognize them if they're wearing sunglasses.
Something
If they're wearing
different.
glasses and have their hair done a different way, okay?
Right. It is just like C-3PO walking on, like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think you
I have a red arm."
saw my new red arm." Yeah.
Or maybe it's
yeah.
just a kind of throwaway thing where it's like he's never actually cared about the clones. It's
Yeah.
like it's never he's like
Yeah.
never paid attention.
Yeah,
It's only
he
when
doesn't
the
even know who
orders
Cody
come.
is.
Deep into that one. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Mhm.
I just did a Wikipedia search on Omega's page, and Admiral is only for Wilhuff and Tarkin, and then Rampart is never mentioned. So I don't know if she's
Huh.
even met the guy.
Yeah, maybe
Oh,
they haven't
interesting.
actually met.
Yeah.
Maybe she's so short she's never in frame with him.
There it is.
The one thing though with that is like if they have bounty hunters around the galaxy looking for her, you'd think that her picture's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's
maybe-
Camino, right? That's
Yeah.
Camino, not the Empire.
But,
I mean,
also to the
bounty
public, they're
hunters-
all dead
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. To the
Yeah.
to the public to the public, the entire group of Clone Force 99 is dead, and I thought that included Omega because she was always seen with them. So
Yeah, I guess that's
I
something
figured.
I'd have to go back and look at now
Mhm.
that Josh mentioned it. Maybe they haven't met, and maybe Nala Say has just kept it under wraps well enough that no one actually knows.
Mm-hmm.
But I
It's
feel like
just-
if anyone knows, the Empire is going to know.
Well,
You'd
yeah, because I
think.
mean, a bunch of bounty hunters know.
Yeah,
But we have the whole scene in that first episode where he's like, it's definitely not the Bad Batch. It's definitely not them.
'Cause
That
they're
didn't
dead."
happen. They're definitely
Mhm.
dead. So
But that
I'm
shows that
wondering.
he knows that they're alive.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm
I
kind of
wonder
like,
if it's an Andor thing. It's like, are they listening to what the bounty hunters are? Are they listening to like what bounties are being putting out? Do they actually care about
Sure.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how important is that on the scale? Because Rampart's entire focus was literally just putting in this conscription bill to be able to get TKs.
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Basically passing further through the episode, we've had Chuchi and Omega basically having their little discussions back and forth. We get to a senator meeting with Kaminoan, so I thought that was pretty funny to see. I'm like, where are you like coming from right now? I'm like, what do you guys do on other sides of the planet, or what do you do from your home world? Like, it's like
I was surprised to see her because at first in my mind I remember her getting poisoned or shot or something, and then I was like, wait, no, it was the other. It was
It
the
was a
other.
Rhodian.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. So we just haven't seen her like since like season 4, season 3 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's interesting. It's a throwaway line later in the episode, but she's described as being a disgraced senator
Uh-huh.
and like implied removed from office before the destruction of Tapoka City.
Mhm.
Which there was a whole bunch of shady stuff that went down in that episode arc with trying to, because it was kidnapping Baron Papanoida's daughters,
Yes.
right? Or one of the
Mhm.
daughters. And like
Yeah.
she was part of that. So, I mean, that makes sense
Mhm.
that she'd be just disgraced because of that.
I also appreciated that like they clearly showed that she's a terrible person, which we already knew that from Clone Wars, but I like how, you have to do the politics of working with like terrible people. Like I loved her line of like, I just don't care about the rest of the Kaminoans. Like it was just like, oh,
It's like,
that's right, she's
Mhm.
horrible.
It's
But
the
you can
I got
still be useful to
mine.
us.
Yep.
And to be fair, also Kaminoans kind of don't care about their own kind. I mean, they were evacuating Tapoka City, and Lamas was
Yeah.
like, "Get who's necessary."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Get
it.
the important
Yep.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Like,
terrible.
Yeah. They don't really care about their own kind unless they have like scientific advancement under their belt.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point to me where I'm kind of like it's funny how Omega's just like so blindly innocent to the politics game and everyone around her is like it doesn't work that easy, buddy. You can't just be like they're bad like and I feel like that's more of them just being like, hey, from the last like episode 6 or for the tribe episode where they're like, hey, yeah, I just wish they could be kids without a war. And I'm like,
and this, I don't know if it was intentional, but this episode in a way almost highlighted that to me, because when she's in the Senate building with Senator Chuchi, she like isn't shy about anything. And even when they're talking to the Kaminoan senator, she's just like, yeah, I'm a clone, is like saying all this stuff, and she's like a big secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see that on the senator's face too.
Yeah. Like I couldn't really tell by her reaction if she knew and was surprised that she was saying that or if she didn't know. But it like still it's Omega's, I don't know if she really like she doesn't understand her place in everything yet. And this episode highlighted that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, continuing on with the episode, we cut back to the Bad Batch and Rex basically breaking in for the disc. So what did you think about their conversation back and forth of Rex being like, we have brothers waking up every single day? So I feel like this is definitely getting more into that one meat episode that we think is coming.
Yes,
so,
give me my rebellion.
I'm very interested to see where that ends up going. I mean, do you guys have any predictions of where that episode will go, or what do you think is going to happen, or be the major inciting incident as of yet?
I feel like it has to be surrounding Crosshair or Cody.
Yep, absolutely.
Like those are the two clones that we really know, and those are the ones that they're going to use as the plot device to propel that, like if you want to call it Clone Rebellion or just some sort of big event with an evacuation or something of a bunch of clones. That's like one of them is going to be the instigator to propel that forward. And I think there's a good chance that it's at the end because it sounds like they're going back to Mount Tantus, and that's like when we're going to see the RCs too and stuff.
Yep. Well, I think they're. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think there's a good chance the instigator of that is actually Echo. I mean, if he's insanely loyal to Rex, we've seen that for the entire series of the Clone Wars. Why is he not in Rebels?
Yep. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I'm a little worried.
I know.
Yeah. But I think on the inciting bit too, I think that we'll have some politics here too, because I think they're setting it up. You know, these 2 episodes we just saw, we've got Palpatine coming in at the end, which we'll get to, and saying what he says. I won't give it away. And, you know, so we're going to have clones phasing out probably quickly, perhaps, you know, as a political move at the end of the season, I think. And that's going to be where Cody and Crosshair come in. And it's going to be like, we got to get our clone brothers out. We got to do it now because there's been this political move to get rid of them. That's my prediction.
I've always wondered if it was like a new kind of like a Order 66 moment where they're going to have them just like, all right, just eliminate him. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that's probably going to happen at some point where too many start questioning orders or leaving or whatever. And they're like, all right, that's it. And maybe that's coming now that bill has been passed to actually fund the stormtroopers. They'll have the manpower to do that.
My one question is, we saw TKs in use in the season 2 episode with Cody and Crosshair when they were the first ones to come to that city, and then they got overrun and they had to bring in clones to take them out. So they're in use. Granted, that was a mission set by Rampart, so maybe they're kind of only in use by him up to this point. But that was really odd to me that they're not supposed to be like even public knowledge, and yet some of them are deemed well enough for field use to go out and go to that city, be part of that episode in the first place.
I interpreted that as the whole point of this bill is to officially phase out the clones and to replace them with a full-fledged stormtrooper unit. Whereas the idea being like a conscription and volunteer-based army versus a born and bred for this army.
Yeah.
And the TKs we've already seen are like the first batch, the test group, basically. To be like, okay, can we train at least, these 200 volunteers to perform at 90% of what we expect the basic clone to do? Yeah, perfect. That's our demo group that it works.
Yeah.
Well, because even we saw conscripted people in Crosshair's command last season, so we know that they're doing that to some capacity. Just not the whole thing yet.
This was just a full get rid of the clones. build.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, continuing on with the episode, they have we got the Bad Batch basically breaking into the ship, trying their best to take out that file. They have to reroute the power in the ship, turns it on, and basically has every single force within the immediate area going crazy on this ship. When that happens, they basically end up fighting their way. But I thought, I did really like them. This is like a really cool set piece for animation wise. I thought having like this giant ship in comparison to all these troopers around, I really enjoyed it. Plus the battle scene was really cool.
Super cool.
It was so cool.
So what do you guys think of the animation for this episode or these episodes in comparison of the other ones that we've had so far?
Coruscant is always so beautiful in animation.
Yes.
Their
And-
light
Yeah.
rendering is just
Yeah.
so much higher than it has.
And it's like they gave it a little bit of extra depth too when they're down in the underworld with more going on in the background with like speeders and set dressing and stuff and signs instead of just like generic alien models walking back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the animation models were great. The lighting was amazing. I thought the camera work was. I mean, it's an animated show. I'm not gonna be like super critical, but there's a lot of camera A, camera B, especially in the discussion format. Where I was really wanting, especially with the set pieces they had created out of
Wide shots,
more like wide shots or interesting ways of conveying these conversations.
Oh, for sure, because we have such giant scale in this episode, particularly. I was like, I want a few more of these establishing shots. It would have been nice, but I did really enjoy being back in Coruscant. That's been
There are so many of the shots of the Senate building that just look live action to me, and I love how far the animation has come. And I know we talk about it like on every episode that we talk about the Bad Batch, but it honestly is crazy to think about of the journey that the animation has come from 2008 all the way to where we are now. Because there's so many shots in this season in particular that look live action. Like that's how great it looks.
Yeah. They really nailed the matte painting Ralph McQuarrie lingering shot vibe on it. It looks fantastic.
Especially the Coruscant establishing shot. I got that with the Venators, like how they were positioned. It was almost Renaissance and how it filled the screen, and nothing had like empty space without a purpose, but everything had something in it no matter where you looked.
Or the high altitude flyby of the clone barracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would have given for a top-down view of the Venator, like the trench, they were working on all of them, like as that establishing shot, just showing a row of Venators. That would have been sick. I wish we got that shot, but semantics.
I liked how this episode is basically. We've had other moments in Star Wars where it's a race against time, but this is a race against time for something that's political, and I thought that was it's interesting to have that in Star Wars now. Also, they basically end up getting the chip within the confines of the Senator room. We have everyone coming together to pull on a vote. And then basically they end up getting the information. So what did you think of the scene of them all coming together for this senator meeting?
I thought it was great.
It was cool. It was awfully convenient that the first thing that came up when they plugged it in was the hologram.
That was the first thing I thought. Yeah.
Imagine if it had been like a vlog or something.
Yeah.
The info was never checked. We never saw it checked. Like they never vetted. We know we got the right info here. She just plugged it in and it worked perfectly.
We just trust that tech was on top of it, per usual.
Yeah. I loved seeing Echo just plug into the mainframe of the Venator and just take over all the cannons for point defense.
Yeah, I forget that he can do that.
Yeah. It's one of those things where you're just like, oh, right, droid arm.
I wonder what he's like. What he's like? Does he see like a little HUD in his view? Like, what is it actually like?
It's the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I understand that. The green filter comes over his vision.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He gets sunglasses projected in his own mind over it. Yeah.
Mm.
I have a feeling that we'll see. I mean, I'm thinking the next time that we see him that he'll probably get an armor upgrade because he's leaving the Bad Batch. So I think he might change his armor up. I'm just saying. But
I would not be surprised if we saw him back in more traditional clone armor closer towards the end of the season.
What I'd give him to have the handprint back on his chest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Dude, if they gave him the look from the concept art from the Bad Batch,
Yes.
oh,
That's
or maybe
awful.
even the armor from the end of season 7. Well, not
Yeah.
the end of season 7, but the end of the arc in season 7.
Yeah.
oh yeah, of the blue and white one, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, where it's
Mhm.
all slightly inverted. The only
Just
thing I didn't like
blue.
about that one was the weird dig-in mohawk.
Oh, I kind of dug that. I thought that was neat.
I looked at that. I was like, that's gonna be a pain to wear.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But it looks cool.
that was an even thinner like visor slit than he has in this show. too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Visibility.
Bar.
Never heard of her.
no.
So then we get our big reveal of the Emperor being there for this this meeting.
Shocking.
What do you guys think of the Emperor being back? I mean, we knew it was coming. It's just like I'm like, finally, we get this.
This was
him
one of my
actually
favorite
showing up.
parts of the episode. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
I love that Ian McDermott keeps coming back. Like he's just like, oh, there's another role. Okay, hang on 1 second, and then he like just does his lines real quick.
Yeah.
And I don't think that like the character ever left him. I think he's like 100% like of the Emperor in the back of his brain, and when they're like, all right, action, it snaps back on
Mhm.
because of it's
Like the Winter Soldier.
Yes, they're just like, I am the Senate, and then it's like, oh, cool. All right.
I think it was really great. One, that it was Ian's voice, because I think for most of Clone Wars, isn't it Matthew Wood doing an impression?
No, it's not. There's this thing called Google. Somebody use it real quick. I can't think of his
Palpatine
name.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Ian McDermott.
At one point it was
Ian Abercrombie.
yes.
Right.
It was him, and then he passed away at the end of season 5, and then season 6 it was
Nick Jameson.
Tim Curry.
there you go, Tim Curry. Yes.
And who's Nick Jameson?
Did he also voice him at some point?
I see Nick Jameson, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, voice of Sheev Palpatine.
Maybe the movie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Let me
that.
check.
Not the full name drop. Sheev Palpatine.
But there's something about hearing the voice of the actual character.
Wow.
It's the same kind of reaction when it's like, oh, this is someone doing a Darth Vader, James Earl Jones impression versus like in Rebels when you hear Darth Vader,
Yes.
like, oh, they got James to come in and record. Okay.
Yeah.
And still, people at first didn't think that was James Earl Jones coming back, and I'm like, no,
That's him.
That's him. That's the voice. He recorded new lines. It was great. I freaked out. It was wonderful. And then Forrest, he also Forrest
Whitaker.
came back for
Saw
in Star Wars Rebels. So it's awesome to have those voice actors come back. I'm so blown away that even Liam Neeson just showed up into those lines for season 4 and then season 6, and you're just like, oh, okay, like this amazing legendary actor just showed up and did a whole arc about Yoda. Love
Samuel L.
that.
Jackson voices Mace
Him
Windu in the Clone Wars movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for the rest of the show, it's a different voice actor. But in the movie, you're like, that's him.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I love when they do that, and I love that the actors also are fans of Star Wars, and that's why they keep coming back. So that was really cool to hear his voice again.
Yeah, I did like how Rampart's little like, I was just following orders, please.
Yeah.
He's screwed.
Yeah, done.
Do you guys think that's the last we're gonna see him?
Nah, no, they developed him too well.
Yeah.
I think we'll see him again.
I don't think we'll
he's
get any
gonna be
sympathy.
arrested, but
Right.
then he's not gonna be drummed out on court martial.
I
just
could
don't
see
think that we'll get
Palpatine doing
anything.
both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being like either, okay, done with you, you're out, or he could be like, we just had to do that as a ploy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He played the game. Like I mean, I don't know if when that was happening and Palpatine was just waiting for the moment, and then he was like, okay, here's my moment. Someone press the button, and then he just rises up and he's like, all right, listen up. And then it's just like, oh, okay, cool. Because he just,
Him
just
always winning is always
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
fun
Yeah.
little
Mhm.
like gag. I'm like, yeah, they still got. Oh,
like I mean, this is the guy that did construct the Clone Wars, and he was playing
Yeah.
both sides. Like you have to think that he is always one step ahead.
Right. Yeah. I do want to touch on that a little bit. It's sort of the end scene before the big thing that happens at the end. But the batch is talking about how, like, oh damn, we fell for it again. And there seemed to be like this feeling of guilt, like, geez, did we just doom the
Yeah.
whole clone army? And do you think that's going to play a role as we get farther in the season, and they're going to start to do more like, let's save more clones because we did this?
I think so.
Mhm.
I genuinely think that the big thing that they're all feeling there at the end is that oh god moment, because it's the we unleashed this monster that we were trying to cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see they were all happy for a second, and then all of a sudden, like, their hearts all just sank as they were like, oh man, not again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I did like them just ending up being like, oh, we did all that effort for nothing. Okay.
Oops.
We get closer to the end of the episode, and we have Echo being like, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm gonna go where I'm needed right now. Okay. And then
And he said it just like that too. He was like, I'm out.
sayonara later.
Finger guns as he walks away.
He's like, "Ah."
So what do you think about his mini exit? In Speak with Omega?
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I probably get more emotional about Clone Wars than most people. That scene had me tearing up for
I was-
sure.
I was
It's Dave
tearing up.
Filoni. I don't know why you're surprised.
I'm
I
not
really don't know why.
surprised. I am not surprised at all about how it makes me feel. Just other people might be surprised that I get that emotional about Clone.
No, dude, no. I
Same.
was with you that first time that you saw the Falcon, and I was not
Yep.
shocked that you had that reaction too.
I was there the next
Yeah.
time you saw the Falcon.
Yeah,
It was the same
same thing happened. Same thing happened.
I want to be there the third time you see the Falcon, so I'm excited to see what
Yep.
you do for that.
Well, crazy.
Oh, I see
Oh,
it every day. Don't worry.
Yeah, every single.
Um,
Come on.
Yeah, rub it in.
Yeah, you worked there.
But
Oh, man.
yeah, it's like, if Echo's gonna be anywhere, like if he belongs anywhere other than with the batch, it's with Rex.
Mhm.
So that made me happy, and it was like a bittersweet thing because of that.
Since the start of the season, he's been saying we need to do more for the
Yeah.
clones. So
Yeah.
they were setting us
Yeah.
up. Even season 1, it's been a long time coming for him to do this.
Yeah.
And also, I'll make fun of camera A, camera B conversations for ages, but we got a shot of Echo's helmet padding. When it
Yes.
focused on
Yes, I saw
Omega,
that.
And it was like beautiful, like leather panels, and then just
Yeah.
this slit visor.
No, did you see? Okay, so in the DC Star Wars Complete Visual Dictionary, they have a cross section of a stormtrooper helmet in there, and they dressed out the whole inside and have all
Yes.
these details and stuff. And there was details directly pulled from that. There's these little, like,
That's sick.
they almost look like a little. They kind of look like little camera lens or like little binocular
Mhm.
lens things that sit right in front of the eyes, and you can't actually see out of the lens. And Echo's helmet had the same thing in there,
Oh,
as well as
cool.
like a bunch of other similar details.
It reminded me of the like Boba Fett / Din Djarin padding that everyone sells as like canon accurate
Yeah.
or whatever, and it has all
Oh, yeah.
those like leather squarish triangular
Yeah.
panels.
Well, so that is based off of padding that Master Replicas put
That's
in
right.
their .45 scale helmets.
Gotcha.
like
Mhm.
2007 or whatever. And at least the Stormtrooper one and a lot of the details in the clone as well are very similar to what's in that DK visual guide. And I forget which one came first. I think it was the visual guide.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, closing off the episode, you have that lingering shot of Omega and the little stuffed toy. I was like, ooh. But I was like, what a way to end the episode. Somber, sad moment, but
Right in the pain receptors.
and the fate of the galaxy as we know it in the Bad Batch is on the big turn. So
Yep.
I mean, I'm very curious to see what will happen next episode.
Do you guys think that they will try and fill the void of Echo being gone, and they will, maybe try and introduce a new character? So it's like, oh hey, or do you think it will just be like the four of them now? We will get to that Avengers team up moment in the last 2 episodes, and then Echo will, just be in this full out new like designed armor, and then they'll be like, oh my gosh, she's back, and then someone else dies, which it might be Echo, which is really sad, but
Yeah, that's exactly what I think is going to happen. Because
Hunter, just save it for the finale, man. Just save it for the finale.
Hunter, the more we cry now is not going to stop us from crying more during the finale.
I know.
I might take the day off work for the finale.
Dude, for real.
I wish.
Oh man.
So, any main closing thoughts that we have on the end of our mid-season finale of these 2 episodes, and anything that you guys think that we're going to see moving forward into our next episode?
I've got 3, 2
okay.
serious and 1 lighthearted.
Okay.
And I'll start with the 2 serious ones. 1, I think we're going to see an increase of like the political side of this, because it's like important. Like, the defining trait of Leia is that she's a politician. Defining trait of Bail is a politician. That's going to play, I think, more of a story leading into it, where a lot of the rebellion is political to begin with, not just shooting. Second, I think we're going to see, like, this is the build-up for everyone's, big dream finale of all the clones rising up in a massive clone rebellion, which I really hope we see. And then my lighthearted one is, I am very annoyed at Wrecker for having another costume at the start of the episode.
I noticed that, and I was like,
He's got 4 sets of armor.
I didn't think they had that much room for storage on the ship, so every time I see them do a costume change, I'm just like, is there like a hidden costume? Is there like a hidden costume compartment somewhere in the ship where they press a button and the costumes come up or something?
They have a TARDIS closet.
I think it's like a bus. They got like those panels on the underside where it's just all for cargo.
There you go.
Yeah, they like by the end of the show, like they have so many costumes that they actually have to attach a trailer to the ship, and then it just follows them like through hyperspace, like in the new Lego Star Wars game when you're, shipping cargo.
Yeah.
It's
It's such a big ship. Why is it so cramped? Oh, it's all costume storage. But those are my 3 points.
I got 2. I got 1 serious and 1 lighthearted. The serious is just commandos. I think we're going to see more of them. I see more of them with TKs as well. I think they're going to be a big part of that progression. And obviously, I can't help but hope for Delta, especially Fixer, since we only saw his outline in the Clone Wars show ever.
Yeah.
And then 2 promotional pictures. So seeing a green commando I lose my mind. And then lighthearted, they, on the exterior of a Venator Star Destroyer, they just pried off a little panel to some wires and slid it back into place. Like, that thing is spacefaring. And they just pluck. Let's just set it back on. That's it. I was just like, really?
Only
It can't be that easy.
Only the interior hull has to be airtight, Josh.
So Josh, there's also a mistake that you're making, is that you're trying to put logic into Star Wars. And,
Good point.
And you just can't do that, man. Like, you just can't. Like, it's real life, and then there's Star Wars. It's just like when people were talking about the bombs going into the Juggernaut and the Last Jedi. But bro, there's no gravity. There's no like you just can't put logic into it. Like, it's just, yeah, I'm sorry.
So those were our closing thoughts on the
Yeah.
episode.
Well, I think mine were. I really liked having Echo leave. Actually, I thought that was really interesting.
Oh,
because-
breaking
No,
news.
I did,
Star hates
'cause-
Echo. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
How did you know?
Surprise! I actually don't even like clones. No, I really like that because when he says like in season 7, he talks about like where like going where he belongs or where he's
Yeah.
needed, and having that be the batch,
Mhm.
and then seeing him be like, no, I like not that he doesn't belong with the batch, but that like at this moment he belongs with Rex. I think that was a really cool like 501st moment, and having like the clone theme play really pulled at my heartstrings, and I was like, yeah, it's like 501st. So I really like that. I think I'm really hoping for an episode about Echo and Rex in the next couple
Yes.
episodes. That'd be really
Please.
cool. Like we've split them up, so like who's to say we're not going to get, I don't know, even like a Crosshair Echo Rex episode, Cody.
Cody.
You know, just because we split them up doesn't mean we won't see Echo until the end. It could just mean we're going to see that split up. I really love that.
Mhm.
So
I
That'd
could
be
see them
cool.
doing a recruiting episode of where it's just like Avengers Endgame, where they have to go and like recruit the
Yep.
different Avengers, and it ends up being Echo and Rex, and they're going out and they're like, hey, I'm calling in a favor, and then the Commander Wolf's like, I'm in, and there's Gregor, and he's
and
more
my
crazy.
axe.
Yeah. So it just gets to that point. I could definitely see them doing that, and then them all just leading it up to the summit episode. Because
Mhm.
and during that episode, I got a feeling that there's just going to be some of the main clones that we've known and loved over the years that are just not going to make it, and it's gonna make Hunter cry, and it's yeah.
Happens.
Man, yeah. So it honestly will make everyone very, very sad, because you have to think about that. We've been following Echo's journey since season 1 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Since
and
episode 5.
right.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, he's done. He like died during, season 5, I think. And then he came back and we were like, like what's going on? And he's still going on. So if they did take Echo out, that would be, a very sad thing. But I
Tragic.
think that would also be a good way to unite all of the clones, and maybe that would be like the real start of the clone rebellion. Like someone perishing would be the moment that would unite everyone, kind of like how Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die during Clone Wars. I mean, not die during Clone Wars,
Clone Wars.
because he wasn't in Clone Wars during the original trilogy. Because he wanted the character to unite all of the other characters in a way, and I think that's what Echo might be for not just the Bad Batch, but for all clones.
Hey, the last domino has to fall eventually.
Oh wow!
Josh, corner now.
Yeah,
Domino
dude.
falls
Wow,
in the
man!
screen
Wow,
reaction,
bro!
I'm just saying.
Wow!
He's in the corner.
Oh man! Jeez! Wow. Okay.
on that
Colin,
note.
any Star Wars news that we have?
Yes. There is this new trailer. I mean, not trailer. Actual gameplay of Jedi Survivor. I'll pull it up real quick.
Since we have the delay.
I
I have to go and like do a full breakdown of it. I think the main thing, we have a full new planet. That new planet has a Lucre Hulk on it, and we're getting more and more battle droids played out in this sequence. We have a whole new planet as well, so I'm very, very excited to see what we go with this.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that I was just like absolutely excited about, and I was like, "Thank you for doing this." A lot of the times with sequels, we get the person completely not understanding like where they came from the beginning. Like they lose all their abilities, all their power. Like I was super worried that they'd be like, all right, he doesn't know how to use his lightsaber anymore the same way as he did in the last game. But everything that they show in this full on like little trailer, I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
he knows how to do everything still. And this is the beginning of the game from what they've said.
Yeah. So I know that Josh and I are excited. Everyone else here, are we planning on playing it at some point? Did we already pre-order it?
At
I don't
some
believe in
point.
pre-orders.
I need to buy a new console as well.
Yes,
And
you
right
do.
now I'm dumping all my spare money into droids and armor per usual. So.
No way, really?
Shocking. You what?
What?
No.
He wouldn't do that.
Slave to the cosplay, all right.
So yeah, no, that I mean, there was really not that much to break down from that gameplay, except the tragic feeling for a lot of people that the game got delayed until April 28th, which March was supposed to be the big month for Star Wars, man. Now it's just 2 Star Wars projects. I'm sour about it. I shouldn't be, but I am. But but yeah, no, that is really everything for this week in the world of Star Wars. I know that we're slowly approaching Star Wars Celebration, and they're dropping a bunch of the people that will be there. Not Josh, but the other Josh and I will be there. And we are super. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, but
Don't worry, it just hurts a little bit.
yeah, I know, man. I'm sorry, but that's slowly approaching. We're super pumped for that. Yeah, this year is just the gift that keeps on giving, because there's so much Star Wars content happening this year, and we're getting the Bad Batch all the way until March 29th. Yes. And that will cross over with episodes of Mando season 3 dropping. Very, very excited for that one. Yeah. So,
I mean, do we have everyone's tags for this one? Do you have Cap's Instagram?
Cap, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at I'm the Captain 501.
Okay.
All one
Josh.
Cloning _ around.
All right.
It's on there. His one is on there. I was like, nice.
I didn't know if you put it on or not.
Smart.
So this is a podcast, so not everyone's going to be able to, watch.
That's true.
Because you have to listen.
Yeah, so I'm at clone _ around on Instagram. If I post, it's a lucky day. But aside from that, yeah, that's where I am.
And then for Hunter, Christian, and Star, you can follow them at JIG_I_Hunter. And then you can follow Christian at Kanobin_around. And then for Star Spangled Comment. Hunter, I think I spelt it right this time, right?
Yes.
Cool. Wow. I'm proud of myself.
You did it. Yay.
Yay. And then you can follow you can go to our Patreon. We're on there. For Instagram, it's at Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We post a bunch of awesome content, characters of the week, stuff like that. And then we're also on Twitter at Stuff Pod. We're also on TikTok, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. And then we also have our own website where you can find, all of our links to almost everything that's related to the podcast. We're on Facebook as well, Star Wars Stuff Group or Star Wars Stuff Podcast page. Please go on Apple Podcast and give us a review. We love hearing from you guys. Once again, everyone, we would not be doing this if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much for listening. We're so we are so lucky and honored to just be nerds and be able to talk about this. It's so much fun. And from all of our people that are on here as guests, thank you so much for not what you just do for the podcast, but just all together for the costume community. I'm just going to Instagram and scrolling down and just even seeing a weird photo of Hunter being Bosk and just holding that thing of Christmas cookies. It's like, okay, cool, awesome. And it's so cool that we can turn this fandom into not just a hobby, but into a lifestyle. And I think everyone in this group does it in such a tasteful and awesome way. So thank you so much for everything that you guys do. From all of us from the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, may the Force be with you always. Maybe. Hang on.